have no plans to show. My name is Agnes Joseph from Yakutsk. I have no plans to show, but what I've been through, with what I've been through, medicine, I'll tell you about it. In the 80s, 1980s, around there, I had leukemia. I was sick with leukemia in the hospital in Fort St. James. I stayed there 65 days. The blood that they gave me, it didn't work. They could give me another, after 1 week, doctor told me, what you do with your blood, where you put it? It just withered away. I told him, I don't know. Told me, we'll give you back some more. And then one of those white men there, Dakoy, he gave me his blood. That morning, I sat in a corner beside my bed. I cried and I prayed. I asked God, I have lots of children to look after. What's going to happen with them? And I prayed, and then the doctor came in to give me that, nurse came in with that blood. That one, it did good to me, it came, because I've been praying for it. And I believe when we pray, it's true, it goes true. I stayed there 65 days. Vancouver, I stayed there 1 week. From Vancouver, they sent me home. Then that Betsy Joseph, Jock's wife, she bought me medicine. She's from Prince Rupert, with that woman, she's an Indian. She boiled some medicine, white rhubarb. That one I was drinking it twice. She boiled some for me. Only one I've been using beside the medicine what the doctor gave me. Now I'm still alive. I'm 82 years old. I'll be 83 December. Then my husband was losing his eyesight. Doctor told him he's going to lose his eyesight, both sides. Then I think of it, what I'll do, what could I do, I think of it. And then I know those bear bears, there's lots around. I went out and got some with the bears. I told him, I'll put some medicine in your eye. I tell him, that berry of it, the juice of it, I opened his eye, one to each eye I put it. And then I boiled the stems of it, and I put it in those little containers for his eye. That one, it did him good too. He didn't lose his eye. And then after that, he's healthy, nothing wrong with him. For no reason, he was coming back from the church, dog bite him on the arm. From there on, he was going down. And I bath him, I do everything, I keep him clean where he sleeps. He couldn't help himself anymore. First, I should tell you about his hands. First, his hands, he couldn't move. He couldn't move his fingers. It was sore. He's always like that with his hand. Couldn't move it. There, I think of it. There too, I think of it. What I'm going to use on him. What will be good, I think of it. then for no reason, there's lots of Hulsi around. I told him, use Hulsi. I told him. He told me, we'll get some. No, I told him, it hurts. I told him that joke was coming in. His brother was coming in. He told him, get me some. So he got him a bunch of it, and he put it beside him. He put some in his hand like that, and he started moving his fingers like that with that. He put it all over his arm. He took off his shirt and he put it all over his arm. After he was through with that, he moved his hand, his arms and everything. Yeah, that one too, it's true. That's what happened that time too. That Tulsi, she has some here. Yeah, that one too, it's true that I'm all by myself with my children. I don't go anywhere for anything. I do things, what comes into my mind I use. I pray for it and it comes to my mind what I'm gonna use on them. And then my son, Andrew, there was so much going on in 24 camp. They used to call it 24 camp that time. There too, one evening everybody was drinking, and I was alone with the kids. He said, my head is sore. He said, he cried. I told him, don't cry. I told him, it will get worse. He closed his eyes, he can't even open it. There too I think of it, what I'm going to use, Lord, on him. It came to my mind, use cold water cloth on his forehead and put hot water under his feet. That one too, it came true. It was true, that one too. I put some cloth, I wrap it with towel, and I put it under his feet, that hot water, and I put cold water right beside me, and I used that cold water on his forehead. But not quite half an hour, he went to sleep. He got over it. Then I took out everything out of him, and next morning, nothing wrong with him. He got up. That one too, it's true what I did. And then my husband went to the hospital. He was, he's sick. I don't know what kind of sickness he had. He told me to stay home with that little boy who we raised, and I stayed home with him. For no reason, they phoned me, told me to go to Prince George. I went there. My daughters, they were there with him, my daughter-in-law, I got them there, and it was lunchtime. I told him I'll be back, it's lunchtime now. He told me, why you bring that little boy with you, he told me. And I came back in, he told me, no, Agnes, I made a mistake telling you that. I want to tell you lots of things. And there too, he talked to me about things, how I'm going to use everything. And there was my daughter and them, they told me, Daddy talk about that cliche, that mountain cedar. He said, it's good medicine for cancer. People, they're going to get cured with that, he told them. not the whole thing. There's some kind of just like little limbs on it. He told them to take out those things and use those. And we never did it. We never do it. There's nobody to get it for us. It's someplace around the mountain, but I know I saw someplace, but I cannot walk in the bush. I'm too old for it anymore. I couldn't do it. If I get some, I could have used it. Yeah, that one is good for cancer. People can get cured with that thing, he told me. And this medicine, what this is, what they show, it's right. People using those things. Yeah, mountain cedar, bush chair, key chair, it's just like dog tail. The chan is short, it's kind of short. Just cut that the chan top would be. I saw someplace I couldn't get it. Yeah, is that cancer based what he did. Du limslet och chanyadet och du anser helt och isanit och isat har gjort lite i beuten i utländigt. Ja, hayat naivanni. Ja. Even as I told my Patrick to look for some in the bush. Cancer bentata hundo. Educha Auntie Cesar Francisca Antoine 2 years ago. I went to her house. I always visit her when I come down. She had nothing on her, in her chest, it was just raw. I told her what happened. She told me she has cancer. I went back to town because my sister Catherine was in town. I told her about it. She told me buy Vaseline and baby powder. And she brought in a bag of those brown paper bag. She put lots on it. She mixed that baby powder and Vaseline, and she put it on that brown paper, and she put it on her. That one too, it's all right, but not really. And then after that, Hilda bought the Noxima spray. She put it all on her, that Noxima spray. That one, there's nothing wrong with her after she came back. Now there's nothing wrong with her too. Yeah, everything, medicine, what you use, who gets cured with it, what kind of medicine they get cured with it, you should tell them and talk about it. Because that's the way they all should know what will be good for us. And the tulsi, that's what they call it in English.
Stinging nettles. Stinging nettles. Oh, they call it poison ivy?
They just rub it on her hand that one is good too. Because my husband had been using it and he got cured out of it. He didn't use any medicine after that. low blood pressure. It's a new hatat and the marrow of it. It raw. Betsy, she fixed it for me. She cooked that rhubarb, wild rhubarb, and she gave me some of that for our blood, that one too. That one too, it's true, because I've been eating that too. Moose marrow, at Angye.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Me, I call it a yeah.
Yes, that's all I have to tell you. And it's true what I went through. Everything you have to pray for what you're doing. You have to do it. Think of it, what's good. It come to your mind and do it.
But one of the points that I really even did surprise myself about this medicine, a pregnant woman, she was losing her baby about 4 or 5 months gone. And she goes to the doctor from every week, from time to time. They finally sent her down Vancouver. I think they stitched her up or something like that. About a week after she came home, and she said she has to lay down until the baby can be born. And she's a non-native, so I don't think she'll ever drink that medicine. Maybe I should try her, I thought. And then she's laying down, and I told her all that time, 4 or 5 months, you gotta lay down. Yes, she said, to save my baby. And then I asked her, if you try my medicine, maybe I'll make it a mild. Would you try it? She said, I'll do anything to save my baby. So I boiled up some medicine for her, and she started drinking it. That was that juniper and wine. We call it Danihtan. Maybe you know what it is. In our language, Danihtan. I didn't want it to be too strong. The others, I left it out. Just 2 I did. And she started drinking it. She said, Mom, how come I start giving me diarrhea? Well, all that bad stuff in your body gotta get cleaned out. That's what is good if you do that, is working on you. If your body all cleaned out, then it's going to start working on you. She's drinking it, and then she, about a week, 10 days, walking around, whistling around. Gee, Mom, it's really good for me. So I boiled her another batch. She take it and take it. She got addicted to it too. she called it as a tea, herb tea or something like that. And then about 6 months, 7 months, somewhere around there, I told her, maybe you're taking it too much. How about we'll skip it? If you really get sick, maybe you won't feel it after that. So can we skip it? She said she was thinking about that too, so we did. Oh, not quite 2 weeks there, because she went right back down. Couldn't walk. And then I just had to start boiling it for her again. She drank it right to the last, and that lady, she She was overdue 2 weeks. Yeah, that's one of the things that you gotta look after. You know, a lot of our ladies, they lose their children. It's just because their kidney is weak, kidney infection. That's what causing the losing the baby. I found that out during that time. And then another time, a teenage boy, about 17, 18 years old, he stayed inside because he had so much pimples and acne in the face and all over the body too. I didn't know it. The mother came to me, she said, they all called me Mom all the time. Mom, could you boil medicine for my son? He couldn't even show up in public. He's so ashamed of himself that acne is all over, even in his face, all over, even around here is just full in his body too. And then, what is he taking? I asked. She said, half a bag full of penicillin doctor gave him for 1 year. He has to take that for that acne and pimples. I said his stomach will be all burned out before he finish. I'll try this one and then let him take that medicine out, cut it off. That penicillin is not for cut or infection. You cut it right off and try this one, I told him. So he did. I gave him a big batch and I told him to be sure he keep it steady. That's, if it's that bad, I have to use it on him about 3 to 6 months, depend on how it will be. Oh, he was happy. He started drinking it, that teenage boy. 2, 3 days, his bed sheet was just all bloody and pus, everything was stuck to his, all break out, that pimple and acne especially. That bed sheet was just stuck to him. And he got scared. The mother came to me and said, how come he's doing that, Mom? You should say he's bedding. Well, that medicine is working on him, that's why. My mother they had a horse, and it's for the time, I guess it got caught in barbed wire on the top of hill. And he trying to jump up, all wicked must have nobody up there. They found it, somebody found it up number 4 mile about. They say your horse is pretty well, I think you have to shoot it, it's pretty well badly cut on the leg, on that side, or what you call it, where is the fattest part, you know. They all just cut about 6 inches like this, that cut. The barbed wire is still in there yet. I guess it's been sliding down the hill as it's where it got cut. And that he said it's no more good. I think we just have to shoot it. But Mama's, her pet, he loved that horse very much. She said even it's no more good. We don't want to lose it. I'll work on it. And then first she bought some boracic acid, something like that, or Epsom salt. Then my grandmother, they came visiting one of the time. They look at the horse, said, what you use? Told them that Epsom salt and boracic. Why you go to the drugstore for them to go to? Out look at in the bush all kinds of good medicine. Get those willows, she said. Don't slice it, she said. Just scrape it out. Clean it good and then throw it in the boiling water. Said, stir it good. when it cooled down enough, not hot, then you wash it. The horse was just smelled to all that pus running down the leg, everything. So Mom right away, she big dish of, she started washing it, that horse, with that. Every day she did it. That running stuff, it stopped. It started to form a scarf. And my grandmother told her not to take out the scarf. That's gonna help her protect it. So she didn't do that, and then told her to use bear grease on top, soft grease, after the washing. From time to time, about a month, all over that horse scarf was just thick, some on the edge falling out, or where is healing is falling out itself. With that bear grease, keep soften it. That's how I seen that horse heal up, that big cut like that, about 6-inch cut like that. It healed up that time, and they did use it for working too after. So that willow is very important that you all know. Some of them, they drink it. I hear they're drinking it. So I think it's very important medicine, one of it, for cuts on anything that. And then in tobacco and sores, what we use is that sasmatan, that she got it over there, that bearberries, the leaves of it. A guy had in tobacco out in a trap line in the springtime. He got infected very bad with it. Couldn't even walk, even between the toes, all this behind the ear running down that glands all swollen. My dad, he said, he pitied that guy, so he just himself, he went out and just the leaves of it, he took all his, to fix it like this and throw it in a big pan and boiling water. There again he stirred, it turned real dark green or tea or something. He cooled it right down and he started washing him, his head all over. His hair was long, but that man, he said, you could cut all my hair you want to, all just sticky with that sores. Said, you don't need to cut it. It doesn't need cutting. Your hair is okay. So he kept washing that all over behind the ears, right down the whole body, bathing. About a day or so, this running stuff, it quit, start drying up. Well, about a week, I think most of it was clear. And during that time too, he used that lard, what you call bear grease, it drops off on your clothes. So he used lard in the head. Anytime it's very good, that lard. Maybe a lot of you don't know it, that whenever they get sores in the head, you wash it with that bearberries, the leaves of it, summer, but in winter could use the stems of it. And then you afterwards, when you dry it up, you use that lard. It stays on until, and when they form a scar, never take it out. That help until it is healing. As it heals itself, they come out. Well, I think that's all my most thing that I know. Like I said, I didn't spend too much time with my parents. I had my own family to look after, and that's how I didn't learn too much that time. A lot of times my mother, I seen her for like if TB, there was a breakout of TB in 30s sometime. I seen her boiling that balsam bark, what I see over there, and then this vine again, the nichtan, juniper, and that cranberry, high bush cranberry stems of it, and little bit of this soapberry stems. That's what I seen her mixing and boiling it. And whenever it's bitter, like we use little bit of honey in it. That's for asthma and TB, colds, anything like that. There's another thing my mother, that asthma she used very much, was that balsam tree, you know, the young ones, about the tips of it. She take out all the needles. I asked her why she take out the needles. She said they're too bitter. So it's up to you. You don't mind the bitterness. You could use everything. That's very good for colds and all that. I think that's all I know. This what you call, you know, a lot of times I hear that some of our plants, they send it down Victoria or something like that. It shouldn't be. The government, I think, is studying us. Maybe someday we have to be charged for everything. So you should look into this to be careful what we're doing. Yeah, okay, that's all.
What I'm showing up is all boiled together. That's what I use for my sickness. I'm sick with diabetics. Arthritis, it's good for it. And like this kind, I use that too, what they call it. Yeah, that's the one. I use it with it for diabetics.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Mary. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Mary. You know you're more than one. But we didn't think you could blow out 67 candles.
Yeah, I'm young again.
My grandma, long ago, 1937, I was 9 years old. There's no doctor those days. They're all trapping way back where their own area. All them, my dad and his brother Daniel T.G. The whole family, they live the Park Reserve where that now they set up real big camp. local call, they call them. As we say, halfway house, or London we call it. That's where they stay. As we all move back to Takla Reserve now. So my grandma is 90-year-old. My mother and my dad, they're watching. So they get really bad arthritis. So my dad and my uncle and uncle's wife, they collect this kind they collect enough, so they put little hot water in little container or something, and take it out, they strain it and put nice cloth, and wherever that pan is, they put it in. They put the whole thing in for them, but they leave it about half an hour or more than that. Then after you feel better, you tell them to take it off. You feel better. And the same thing is this one too. They crush it up. They cut it and they crush it up too. And wherever the thing is, they put it with wet cloth and put it, just leave it until, then after they feel better, they say it helps. Use those kind to tell them whenever they get big cut through the same one, wherever that cut where it hurts, when those days they don't use those kind, but they put it in and leave it 2 days. After 2 days, just take it off, really nice and clear. So that it helped my grandma. I know, I still remember. And the speak is all the way to Fort Graham area. That's where he come from. His name Christine, and his dad's side Salonas from McLeod Lake. So if we still with us down 10 year or 11 year, we wouldn't speak them very secondary language, but I understand when we go up to they talk to each other. I hear them what they said. Me and my brother John T.G. we used to stay with grandma and tell us story, loads, and what they say is on lamps bring wood, water, we know all that. And we stay there with my grandma. They get that little house for him to both sides, the uncle and my daddy. So that's how as we grow up, really nice place too. And my mother, I use this for my mom, 95 years old. I watched him for 4 years, my mother, in Takla. His eye always hurt his eye, sometimes it's really red. So I use this, it tell me what he said. This big one, take it all and put it in warm water, so I started it helped to these berries, boil it together and turn out red, so we strain it and just leave it 3 times a day. I used to wash it. After all that red thing go away. My mom is strong. 4 years I take care of all my sisters. They go to Punch Church, go, move around. Me all the way, I just stay home. I don't live, I leave Takla, but I don't go to town, not that much. So I take care of my mom. It's 96-year-old, December 27, they died. Now it's 2 years. From there on, then William for the cancer. So we use this. Those kind notes I always spoil, and that woman he give me notes to Margaret Ruski, that dry one, but he give me and to do that he get some in that time. So I use that on William for his throat. Long time ago, doctor he checked, he said you have to live for 20 years, more 20 years, you live 50. I keep making medicine, all kinds I do. All the that thing to what they call that holtzig, as we call holtzig. I don't know what they call it in English. Can't remember. Eat a holtzig, how they call holtzig, white weight. Oh, poison ivy. That's what I keep using here. Just the roots. So I clean it good, and that beside the quick roots, I use that, I wash it out and boil it, the whole thing. I use gloves for it, I think it hurt when I touch it. So William said, I feel better with that, so I keep use that whole way I've been use that. That it really helped too. And this is I want to my son Murphy George to get that what they call that sickness. Sometimes they turn yellow on their eye. What they call that?
Jaundice. Jaundice.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the one. So two of them, they get the same kind. They get back flew to way up in Moose Valley. Went up, everybody went up there. So on the way back, they get sick and their eye too. Like that's why William said, go run down on the side where nobody was there. Just take loads. So I did take 3 loads and I come back to Parkland and I boil it in big pan. I give them both Eddie, George, and Murphy. Tell them take this one every day, anytime. Don't take your time, just don't drink it all up before you clear out your sickness. After about 1 week, then his eyes started to clear out. The thing is going away with that. And Eddie the same time too. It is good for that too. So this soap here is the same kind, but Madeleine they do all the same one too as what he's showing. All together I used to boil it for really bad cold sick kids, they get cold sick. I mix it, I let them drink it. And this is the one, I get that a long time ago I get that rheumatic fever, but before I stayed in hospital to 2 months and a half I stayed. That rheumatic fever was just all over my hand. When I move 80 tablets a day they used to give to me in one hospital in here, Dr. Mooney, he's my doctor. So after that I get out and my auntie Bernadette Johnny, they make me medicine. This one now what we do. By my auntie I learned lots of us who is still doing those medicine up there, Josephine Boyce, my sister Charlotte, and Teddy's husband, they're very old now. Catherine and these young people, we work with them. They write it down what we do. So I tell them I'm going to go. I might bring some more different. We all do different. I'm going to bring back some more what people they do. Before I come this way, then I dream not yet. They tell me nothing. Like this kind of class, one sit over there and they keep talk with me and something like this. And nothing next morning. And one of my daughter ran in. Frida, Mom, they want you. Where? Stony Creek. For what? For this kind of medicine. Oh, maybe that's what I dreamed, that woman, they keep talking with me. And I don't know what woman. Then I keep look back to him, show something to me, and he keep talk with me. I look back, look like he's not from local Takla. I don't know where that woman come from. And Frida said, just won't back yet. I tell them I'm going. You see, everything we do now, it's really going to help those young people who they're growing up to or later. Now those days, it's some kind of kids, they go to school, lots of graduate in Dhaka, about 40 of them. So lots of girls, they're growing up yet, so we need something to do with teaching them what I learned by my mother and my grandma. It's all the same. We still use that too. And when the girls they're gonna have baby, I used to boil that what they call it, what they call it, as we call it, we say that real spruce, that young one, spruce, we call it almost too. So I give it to my daughter. The baby when they born, really nice, no grease, turn red and they born. And the same thing, the cranberries to let them eat. That's what Mom said. Tell them to eat cranberries so the baby born will be really lots of hair and black hair, not bald-headed baby. So the girls now work with them to do this, everything. So it's thanks I come here and share with you this, and I learned lots. Look at that, all kinds now. So maybe that's it now. Thanks for this village to a nice people who run into a nice cook right there. Look at that. One Indian food too we do. That's we use long ago. Not Indian food. We're strong. We're still strong. I still do all kinds of research too. And that one guy went up there and said, welfare. They checked us. He said, they're going to give me one little boy back to me, but not yet. Oh, you're 71-year-old, how come you look young? Those days now, they eat Chinese food, that's why they get all fastened.
Stop today.
Well, after laughing, oh, now I see I'm not going to eat anymore those kind of things. I tell you see how black hair we get when we're babies. They put that bear grease. When firstborn baby, they use bear grease all over the hair and stay black. Oh, as we didn't do that, maybe that's why we get white head how fast. They believe me what I said. He goes go back to Thailand and give more than what I said. Well, that's thanks for everything today. We're going to go home tomorrow, back to Thailand. I'm going to make Musa again. Thanks.
There's another thing. My nephew was 13 months old. My husband was out in Whitefish Lake all by herself. And our daughter, she came in told me, Mom, you won't look after this baby. My mom won't look after her. Just put her in it for. And I took a look at her stool. Ear running, her mouth sore, and her nose, his head full of And down below, just raw, so much diaper. And then she just threw some cans in some cans of milk on the bed. And she left the baby there. She put some diapers there, and that's it. And then I thought she went out to the toilet. And she went out, and I was cooking something on the stove, and I had to watch it. And after that, I finished. I looked at that kid. Oh Lord, it was really bad. I was so skinny, you got mouth sores in that mouth. Can't swallow. That's why I tell him, keep running. He came in running. Look at that poor thing, he's gonna die with this. Where's that crazy Dorsey? So bring her back in the hospital. If something happened for a poor kid, he's gonna blame us. Dorsey said, I tell her, bring her back, put her in the hospital. If something happened to us, they're gonna blame us. Mom, you know, in a medicine, you'll cure her. I thought she said, and she went out. And I thought she was outside somewhere. About 20 minutes after I asked my husband where she was. Und sagt auch, ich lachte unten, la no, and Narka, tell me. She took off, oh my gosh, she said she will wait for her at the truck stop. See, what are we going to do with this kid? And all of a sudden, Pastor, I tell him, gather them, let them see, young ones get lots. Fill up that big pan and put it on the stove. And he did. Then from there on, I took out some in a jar and strained it. Put him on my knee, make him nice there upside down. I gave him about that much in a cup, this kind of cup. And make him drink it down. And I put him in that tub. With a cloth, I soaked all the scabs right out. It took me about a week. His mouth was clean, he couldn't eat. Morning time we set net, morning time we set nets out. And with some fish and potatoes. I feed it to him real soft. Make it real soft, you know. See, that poor kid was hungry. And I keep feeding him that medicine for that much. And make him drink it. I kept feeding him, soaking him 3 times a day. Within a week, there was nothing wrong with him. I was running around outside. Now he's got one little kid too of his own, nothing wrong with it. And that mosquitoes too. I think his kids get full of sores, and I used that Afghanistan with up his dogs and wash their sores with it. But him, even mosquitoes, they never get no sores out of them. I say that's really good for everything that Afghanistan has. That's what I use most of the time. I thought I wanted to share with you. I could hold it.
I am really pleased with this workshop because we need to know each other's medication that our elders have been making. And our younger generation need to know what to use. I brought a lot of stuff, but it's been shown by Mrs. Newski and all these elders, so I don't have to bring mine out. But I brought bear grease. Yesterday I mentioned that we use a lot of stuff from the animals too, and it's been mentioned. The bear grease I brought some because I was going to demonstrate it, and then I went and left it on the table, and I forgot it to bring with me. The true thing that happened with the bear grease, and there's a proof that, like what Hilda talked about, for hair, I got it down here, for hair grooming and the loss of hair. It seems like the non-Indians are really into these things, and they're willing to take the time to experience what we have. There's a young guy in Smithers. He must have some kind of illness. He was 23 years old. He was a non-Indian. He was kind of worried that he went bald-headed. He was really worried he's losing his hair. And my mother-in-law was 84 when she passed on. She's using that bear grease quite a bit, and told her son to tell his friend to put bear grease on his head, and the hair will grow out again. So what Willie did was he told his friend about the bear grease and put it where he was losing his hair. He kept putting the bear grease on, and they gave him a jar and told him to come back and to see if the hair will grow out again. And he was a blonde young guy. He says, I'll try anything because I don't like walking around bald-headed. But when he did go back to see Willie, and it's amazing, his hair grew out black color. But he was really pleased with that. And another thing for spraying, my sister-in-law, she was also a non-Indian, and she sprained her ankle and it swelled just like a balloon. And my mother-in-law, what she did with the bear grease was she heated the bear grease up a bit and then just rubbed it all over her ankle and put a woolen socks on her. And right next day, the swelling went right down. And I knew this happened. Last year before Christmas, my son fell, and he did the same thing. And he went to doctor. They gave him some antibiotic, and he was told that he can't work for 2 weeks maybe, because he's not to step on his foot because it was swollen up quite a bit. It was really turning blue. And I told Andy, I said, I have some bear grease over there. You have to put it on. It's amazing, it works. And I rubbed some bear grease on his ankle because it was swollen up pretty bad. And then I put warm woolen socks on him. And the next day he came to me and he says, Mom, he says, it's really amazing. The swelling has gone right down. So the bear grease does work. And Mrs. Thomas mentioned about coffee. I really agree with her that coffee has a lot of caffeine, and it's been a year and 4 months that I haven't touched a drop of coffee because that was bringing my blood pressure up. And I've been feeling really good since I quit drinking coffee. And drug abuse and all that stuff was coming up yesterday. And suicidal. Because of taking pills with codeine, I also became a victim of that codeine, and it turned my life upside down. A lot of herbal medicine came up. A lot of different things are put into the medicine from what I've been hearing for the past 2 days. One thing, when I make mine, my husband and I used to make medicine quite a bit, and it didn't cure, it just prolong their illness. Like my husband had prostate gland cancer, and doctor gave him about 8 years, but he lived about 10 years, and he passed on last December because the cancer had spread. But we put the wild choke cherry tree bark in with our medicine. And the only place you can get that wild choke cherry is in a high mountain. And it was interesting to look at the slide yesterday about the hellebore. In our language, in Madeline, we call it gonye, and it grows in a high mountain. We use it for a lot of things. Some people use it for their good luck charm, and some of them bathe in it. And the men, the hunters, because when we were growing up, I grew up in a strict home. As a young girl, we were restricted from eating fresh meat or any wildlife that we can eat as a young girl, and we were restricted from all that. And the hunters, the men would believe that the only way to keep their gun clean was they pound that hellebore gonye into a little powder, and they use that to clean their gun. So we use a lot of plants. And I also heard for the past 2 days about the forestry clear cutting. And it's been talked about, but they're not listening to anybody. What we did was, in Burns Lake, they hired a forestry native or Aboriginal liaison worker, a native person, like my son was involved with the forestry. The forestry don't know anything about the plants or the trees that we use, so they don't understand why we're trying to protect our territory. So when Andy Jr. started working with the forestry, and then we went out on the field trips with all the forestry. We took them out to the territory, and we told them what plant is to be protected, and historical areas like where the wells are, and a lot of historical places. Some places, long time ago, in a trapping territory, they used to bury their people within a trapping territory, and most of it are being destroyed, but they don't know that. So what the liaison worker is doing is they go out to the forestry within our territory, and we show them where to protect the area, and it's all written on map now. And another thing, when we have our mountains, lake, creek, or hills, we have names for each one of the mountain, the meaning of it, why it's called that. They didn't understand that until we told them why we have names for each mountain trail or everything that's in our territory. They never understood that until we told them. It's all in the map in our language now. So the forestry know if we compromise with them and if we work with them, they'll come to understand why we're so protective of our territories. And what I did was at home for my children, I wrote out all the recipe of how we make our medicine. And I also videotaped my husband before he passed on. My husband was 20 years older than me, so he knew all the medicines, and we videoed him right from the time he went out and right to the time he finished making the medicine. It's all on the video. And now the school start borrowing the videotape. Otherwise, how else is our younger people going to learn if we don't do these things? So what I'm doing is I have my own time at home. I write down every medication that we use and what it's for, and I just distribute that to my children. And Bernie was talking yesterday about preparing food and everything, and the children don't listen. I too was going through quite a bit of preparing meat, drying meat, smoking, and the fish, anything that comes off the land. And I learned this from my mother, and I learned it from my grandmother and my mother-in-law. So I do all these things, and I like sharing my Indian food with my elders. And when I go to Patlat's Hall, I do the soap berries in our traditional way, using my hand. I don't use egg beater, and I pass that around in Patlat's Hall to all the elders and to other clans. For the videotape, I'm so glad that this is happening, and there's lots that's been shared. I have the opportunity to travel with Sophie Thomas up to Fort Norman, and it was really interesting. We went up there for 13 days, I think it was, and I had a pleasure to be with Sophie Thomas, and it was quite interesting trip, and I really truly love her and respect her for her knowledge of the medication that she makes, and she shares it with everybody. One of the things, when I lost my grandmother, one of the elders came to the house and always said, I told this to my children, when your elder passed on, we have to step forward and put one foot in front of us, and we have to try to follow that footsteps of what they've been doing for us. And it's up to us now to step forward, which we are doing now, so that our generation will learn from this. And it's been a pleasure, and there's not much time left, but once you open the soap berries, it kind of spoils right away because it's got to be airtight. So I brought green soap berries, and I asked permission if I can whip up that soap berries so that we can have it. And I don't see too much of, like, we're all talking about soap berries and we just pass it around, but how many non-Indian knows that how do we prepare it, how do we whip it up, and what are we using it for? And they don't see that. And I don't see that on any videos, so I just like to take this time to make that soap berries, because I don't want to take it home now because I'm heading to Prince George. So if it's okay, I'll make the soap berries.
Yes, you can. When you're preparing, could I grab another speaker?
Mm-hmm.
When you're ready, just let me know.
Okay, I'd like to especially thank these ladies that came from a long ways to be with us, and it's quite an experience to know that we call ourselves the Yinkatni, which is the Aboriginal people. We all have different dialects, but our ways is the same way, but a little different. Thank you very much for each and every one of you. I am really enjoying this. Thanks.
And I've been in hospital almost 6 months. I was in that place. I was so skinny. Couldn't even move around. 2 nurses, they rolled me to my side. They put pillow on my back because I had a big fall. And after I come out of hospital, what happened? I had infection because they had this tube on me too long and got infected. I stayed in the hospital almost 6 months. When I got home, they started calling me up every week for tap tests. So one day I tell the nurse, I said, I'm tired of this tap test. I don't have cancer, and why they do that? And the doctor explained to me, the cancer it started it's about that big, he said, in my urine. After I come out of doctor's office, my granddaughter Rhea Charlie was with me. When I look at Burns Lake, I start to cry. And she asked me, how come you crying, Grandma? And I told her, doctor told me I got cancer. He said, no, he said, you always go to prayer meeting, tell them to pray for you and take Indian medicine. So my latest husband went up to a reserve and he got a gallon of Indian medicine. I think he got it from Dorothy, John Dennis's latest wife, Veronica Dennis. And I take it 3 times a day. And the thing got healed up. And when they called me back in Prince George for another tap test, they put machine on you and the x-ray out. And the doctor told me, you don't have to worry about it. You don't have a cancer, you just got scar. What God can do for you, you gotta believe it and you gotta pray about it. I don't do anything wrong. I turn back to my Heavenly Father. All I do is pray, read the Word of God every day. When somebody gonna die far away, I know it. When we were at Williams Lake, Sarah Tom died. I was in the truck because I had to pray. I didn't want to walk around, to sit there. My little granddaughter, Pisces, the doctor's daughter. She sit with me and play around, and all of a sudden I started singing Amazing Grace and that other Indian song. When a person is dead, the last breath come out, they start singing. All of a sudden these 2 songs I start singing. And I look at my time, it was 5 o'clock. So I tell my granddaughter, let's go inside now, it's 5 o'clock. So we got in and we sit down. Somebody, one of the little boy ran into his dad at Abraham, one of the Abraham. He tell his dad, Sarah Tom died at Burns Lake. God can give you message, but we have to understand. I didn't understand why I've been doing that. Since I almost died, I do that now. When somebody gonna die far away, I know it. I start singing or crying, or somebody touches me in my arm. I get a message, and right away I start to pray. God wants me to pray for this person, but I don't know. He doesn't show me who they are, but just to pray. Start to pray right away. In Jesus' name I pray. When these 2 women that got killed in Burns Lake, I was in Williams Lake, they had healing service. And me and my daughter were at Alcohol Lake. And everybody went to Williams Lake for hockey tournament. And just her and I were sitting at home. She was kneeling down and prayed. Me, I sit down. And somebody touched the window. My eye popped out and I looked. The second time is lower. 3 times touched. And my daughter, Doris Johnson, she looked at me and she said, what's wrong? You see somebody? I said, no. Somebody touched the window. You hear that? Somebody is dying somewhere, maybe at home. The next day I had a phone call. Emma and Josie, they got killed. I got the message right there, but I didn't know who they were. But it's very important to pray, like when they make their medicine now. I listen to everybody. They pray before they touch this thing. It's wonderful to pray to our Heavenly Father. Everything we do, we gotta pray. Even I cook, I pray over it. When I'm working, I pray where I am working. I was chambermaid for 7.5 years. Before I touch the bed, I pray. Whoever can stay in this room to enjoy and have good rest. So one time I was working all by myself, and the room was all full up. I was in my last room, 10A and 10B, 4 bed in there. I was bending down fixing the bed, all of a sudden blue eye got in the door. Oh, my eyes just popped out. You know, when you listen to news, old women, they get raped and they kill them. This thing goes in my mind. He said, I'm sorry, I'll make you scared. I just want to see you, the lady working here. Everything is nice and clean and everything is changed. What God can do for you. And I thank you for inviting me here. Meet so many beautiful elderly people. People that old and us. I am 67 years old. Wonderful to meet you all. Even learning about Indian marijuana. And this lady from here, learning from her too. It's wonderful. Thank you. So like a chair. I didn't bring nothing with me because I have to make some more on all time. Okay, thank you very much. God bless you.
And I've been doing this job for I don't know how many years, trying to share with my people. I go all over. The one place I went to was the best I ever went to is Fort Norman. I was greeted by the people. Oh, they were so friendly. Another place I went to, Seattle. That was a big place I went to. And I share all what I can. I've learned this. I was raised by a grandmother. I didn't know my mom or my dad. I was just about 10 months old when I lost both parents, 1918. But Grandma taught us so many things. We used to go with her, to go up in the mountains, to gather for the winter. She taught us everything. And then I left school in 1932. I was just 15-year-old. I came back to my home where I was raised, Grandpa's house. Then the watchman come to me, 15-year-old. They made me get married. They found a man for me, and then I had to take their word. I can't say no. So we got married. I stayed with this man for 62 years. And we raised such a beautiful family of 15. I have 10 girls and 5 boys. I lost 2 girls and 2 boys. One with whooping cough and the other one with measles. That time I made up my mind. I went to Miller Bay. I stayed there 8 months. All that time I was thinking, some way I could help my people. So I started on the herbs that I learned from Grandma. Very strict woman was a grandmother of mine. And I learned from her. We used to go up
pick berries everywhere we went with her. And she used to talk to us all the time. We were 3 girls and a boy. But now, today, I just have one sister. And she's in Cornell. That's where she lives. So today, I'm so happy to share with you all what I have learned. You gotta use the brain to learn something. This is my book, and it's meant for the library. And I'm making another book that I'm going to sell. It might be half ready, maybe pretty soon. And I'm going to leave my brothers and sisters with a film that we're working on. Every time you see this film, you'll remember who I was. My love goes all to you. You have to try. They always come to me, Sophie, make me medicine. I'm a teacher. I'm trying to teach you. Do it. You just need an enamel pot. Don't use stainless steel, because I did wrong. Always enamel pot. Never use stainless steel or aluminum or something like that, because it eats. And today, I'm just going to share with you a little bit of what I have here. I left them all behind because it takes so much time. This is the raspberries, the wild raspberries. I teach that in elementary schools, in schools, anywhere they ask me to. That's why I have flowers on them, so that they won't make a mistake what plant to take. It's in blossom, and this is choke cherries, and it's in blossom. You use 7 bundles of these and 4 of these, and you boil it in about, I'll say about a gallon, maybe 2 gallons, something like that. And then you put it on the stove. You put 7 bundles of raspberries and 4 of the choke cherries. There's nothing hard in it. Put it on the stove. When it starts to boil, then you time it. 2 hours, or how strong you want it. That's good to purify the blood. It's good. It's good for everything. It's very energetic. Once you take it, you can't stop working. You'll never know when you're tired. That's how good it is. That's raspberries and choke cherries. Okay? This, I have it all sent out to be tested. Years ago I did that. This one is red alder. It has to be red, because when you cut a tree, it shows just like a paint. It'll turn orange. That's the right alder. Some alder trees, they say there's about 4 different kind of alder trees. So this is a number 1. And then you don't take it, this one you could take it half a cup twice a day. I forget to tell you. The raspberry and the chocolate. And this one, you take it by the tablespoon. Sometimes you take 2. Sometimes you take 1. You'll start to feel it if it's working on you. If it starts to work, you'll feel it where the sore is in you. And it became number 1 when I had it tested. 1 or 2 tablespoons, not cup. Don't make a mistake. And then you'll get sick. Oh, sure, you'll get sick. And then you'll know that it is working. Okay? That's number 1 for cancer, ulcer. First sign of cancer and ulcers. I have saved lots of lives. Of all the medicines I met, 1 man came back to me to thank me. And that's how it is. I share with all what I know. This, it became number 2. This is sopalali, good for cancer, ulcers, and good laxative, I'll tell you. We use it. You could freeze it, maybe. I always dried it myself. And that's how we use it. It cleans right out our system. This, it became number 2. This is another medicine that is good. A tree, poplar tree. You use the bark. For those, some kids, they love candies. And then they get pinworms in their stools. Give them this poplar straight. The worms will split in half and they'll pass it from their stool. You could see it. If you happen to work outside and you get accident, you cut yourself, and no doctor around, so you chew the bark and throw it on your wound. It'll stop the bleeding. You don't have to bleed to death. What else? It looks like penicillin. This, it works like penicillin. It'll put you to sleep. I've tried that. I made a quart for my son who had some sore in her tummy. And then, instead of drinking it the way I told him, he drank up the whole quart, just like water. And that boy went to sleep. And we can't do nothing. My boy, he slept for 3 days. And he got up, nothing wrong with him. And I thought it was too much. That's why I'm very careful. I have to tell them how to use it. We all have special gifts. Don't think I am only one. We all have gifts. If you could find out, you'll help lots of people. I travel all over and have learned from them. Even today here I learned something 3. It's in there already. I know what that is. This is another plant. It's a tree. This is young pussy willow. Sometimes this one, this poplar and this willow, I put it together and I make it for the flu because it really works like a penicillin. It'll put you to sleep for sure, I know. But you wouldn't go to sleep for good. I hope not. But you have to think about it. Use your head. How much to take, that's up to you.
Excuse me, Sophie, for worms, how much do you take?
For worms, by the tablespoon.
Yeah.
For little kids. I know because I gave it to my little. Oh, I watch lots of grandchildren. You know how much kids I have? Oh, the man. I done my share. This is red willow. This is good for working men, working ladies, women. If you get hurt in the bush, this will take down any kind of swelling because the doctor can't touch you when it swells up. So you use the bark, you scrape it, make it into a sponge, and then boil it. As long as it colors, it's good. And then you put it on. Your swelling will come down.
Overnight.
Yeah. Overnight it will come. My son said, don't believe anything like that. And then I try it. I tried. My youngest boy that was around here, he didn't know. He don't believe me. And I gave it to him. He got hurt. And then next morning I expect him, he was in bed, I thought. There he was, like that. No swelling, nothing. Overnight, it took down the swelling. This red willow, I don't know what he did.
You truck full of
Oh, yeah, that's right.
His hand was just like
He
that.
traveled so
Swollen,
fast,
can't even move
so careless. In a curve he went and the truck tipped over. And that's what it was. And I saved him with that red willow. That's why all my medicines, I know what they could do for my people. And I think the world of it. This is another plant. This is kinnikinnick. This is good for young girls, you know. When you're a teenager and every month you flow, this is good for cramps. It'll water up the flow. It wouldn't, what they say.
He knows what they meant. You wouldn't get cramps.
Cannot sit. I forget how they say. Oh, yeah. That's how it is. That's good for that. When the flow, it cannot flow and it gets stuck in there. And then you get cramps. So this will keep it watery and you'll have no pain. And then another thing is good for a cold. When years ago, when young mothers went to a midwife, we had no nurses that time. We used midwives. I was a midwife too. And we used to have this on the stove for them while they were in labor. We helped lots of people. This is another good. Kinnick, you call it. And Dani, we call it, we in our Indian way. I forget Dani. I had this in a house. And I told him, oh, I'll boil you up medicine. Man, I didn't know. And I made it for him. And he said, my dear friend, I went back to the doctor. They didn't find nothing. I just made this thread for him. And it's a runner. And it has orange berries on them. And it runs up just like a carpet. But the big ones, the young ones up there, holy, small up there. Because on account of their burn, and then it cannot come back. It has to be really full grown, the knit down. Okay? I don't think anybody can say, I never heard Sophie what she said a word. I talked loud enough. You know, I talk so much, it's a wonder. See these two, this is the same. This, one of it is in blossom, and this one is in berries. This is good for the eyes, the berries. In winter time, when I don't pick the berries, I use the stem. I scrape it and make it into a sponge. And I make eye drop with it. That's good for the eyes. Cataract. Good for cataract. Right there, it'll come in the corner of your eye, and elastic will come out. That's good it is, if you use it the proper way. Okay? Twin berries. This is another plant that is good for my age, the old people. You know, one old man years ago when he was alive, he said, Sophie, I'm so sick and I cannot go for my water. There he was, just about had it. And I cook him this. This is fed up. You know, I have it so long. It's supposed to be dark green, and then it has joinings. I have to make another one. But these cards cost $2 to fix. That's good for colic. Yeah, horsetail. That was it, Yasni. That guy. Yeah. This is another plant that is good. He saved my life, I'll tell you. This is juniper. Either the berries or the way it is, you cook it. This, the whole plant. I don't touch the roots, I just use the stems because I want it to grow, you know. I don't. And then this is good for the kidneys, those who have kidney infection. If you got sore back, that means that. So this is the medicine. And then another thing, I raised my grandson. And I wet the bed every day. Wet the bed, kept me busy, holy cow. And then I cooked this one and I told him to drink it. From that day, he never wet the bed. That's good for that. This is another firewood. Fastan yasni firewood. Yeah. Ichan zo. Ugay hatni udlanet. in the church. Så det egentliga skolsyster kan ha sagt ut då. Young one. Inne så egentliga.
Good for asthma, no?
Good for asthma. That's 100%. Good for asthma.
Sophie, you could use it with the strawberries when you mix it up, when you're dipping it.
We'll talk about it after, please.
She gets mixed up.
My head not very good, you know. This is yarrow. This is good. The flowers. You just grab it. If you go in the bush and the flies they start to bother you, use it just like insect, you know, repellent, mosquito. They will leave you alone. It's just like a mosquito though, better maybe. But that's good, the arrow.
It's one of the 10 plants.
This is one of the 10 plants that I have there. And this is one of them. So I took it. This is another, oh, I forgot that. This is bluebells. That's what you call bluebells. And it's in blossom. See, it climbs. And it grows fast. That's good for those who people lose their hair. Too thin, make it thick with this one. That's good. Mix it up with berries. I help lots of people with that. Yeah. Lots of people I help out with that.
Even your son-in-law.
My son-in-law, I have a son-in-law and none-in-law. And then he came to me and then, boy, he was bullhead. Okay. And then I met him, Bear Grylls, was it?
Yeah.
Bear Grylls and this one. I told him to use it. And he went home and said, maybe you'll help me. He'll help him. So he went home. Maybe about 4 months after they came to visit me again. He had brush cut. I couldn't believe it. Yeah. And he believes the plants now. This is bluebell. Mechiga pe an nasi hot. Oh, this is a plan. I went to Vancouver to do a workshop. And somebody seen my plan on the table. And they told the cops. The cops were after me. They pretty close put me in jail for it. And I told them, that's just medicine. They couldn't believe it. They took it away from me. And they smell it and everything. Oh, they scared me anyway. This is good. This is good for those who get boils, you know, infection. The leaves, you use the leaves of it. You crush it and you put it on your boil.
What's on there?
Red elderberry. The chungustan. You know? You understand?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you never understood. This is the same as that one, pretty close. This is plantain. That is good for the boil, like I said. This one or this one, either one will work for you. It It all depends on what kind of hand you have. So this one works better for them. Sometimes this one works better for. That's it. That's all in my book. This